Today, I am very pleased to welcome author Jim Mahoney, and he's written a great book called Get Mahoney, and it's all about his years in Hollywood with some of America's best-known personalities as your clients, and you've got Sinatra right on the front, so let's start with Sinatra. Tell me a good Sinatra story when you were working with him.
Well, I was, I think a pretty good one to lead into it. I was writing a gossip column at this particular time, and my job was to write a column every day, and I'd go to different studios and go to different nightclubs and pick up stories and write the column. And I got to know him pretty well, and he had a problem with the press, as you probably know.
Yeah, he was not very fond of the press.
No, and that's when I got to know him, and he was always nice to me. And one night I happened to be at a restaurant in Beverly, in Hollywood, called Martino's. My wife and I walked in, and there was Sinatra at the bar, and he said, "Why don't you come out to the studio and we can visit tomorrow?" And I said, okay. And the next morning I was called by the studio and said, "Mr. Sinatra's expecting you." And I said, "I'll be out there late morning." And when I got there, I was ushered into his magnificent motorhome on the set. And the first thing he said to me is, "When are you going to get out of that hokey business?" I said, "When something better comes along." And he said, "Well, it just did. I want you to work for me."
Wow.
And that was the start of it. And I handled him like for 15 years. And it was a great relationship, and he was a super guy, big time giver. He
was a very charitable man when he lived here in the desert.
He gave millions raised millions of dollars for kids and people in need.
You work with so many huge stars. Who were the ones that were the most trouble?
Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen was difficult.
A jerk.
Okay.
You know, I gave him that nickname, Mr. Cool, and I still see it, and I cringe every time I think of it, because he was a real character, you know, and all these the legend of him driving the car in Chicago, in San Francisco. He never drove the car. That was Buddy Egan's, one of the great stuntmen of all time.
Oh, Steve McQueen was never behind the wheel.
No, and he wasn't behind the wheel in The Great Escape. It was also Bud Egan's, but you know, he lived on this stuff, and he was just a trouble man. You know, for instance, I'd take him on a tour for a movie opening, and he wouldn't get in the car unless it was a white Cadillac, and it had to be brand new.
Very particular.
No, wherever we went, we go to a place to create some excitement, like Chicago. They better have a white Cadillac, and this year's.
All right, so you said that Sinatra was a real joy to work with. Who else did you really enjoy working with over the years?
Oh my, there's so many. Jack Lemmon.
Everything I've ever heard about Jack Lemmon is that he was a true, honest gentleman.
Good guy, really a good guy. Smart too. Fred Astaire was a lot of fun. You know, Clark Gable, pretty tough to beat him. You know, he was not unlike Sinatra in he'd walk into a room and I'd go shoo, like a church, you know, and you'd look around, what's wrong, you know, and all of a sudden there he is. But I had a lot of fun with a lot of those people. I mean,
well, you've chronicled it beautifully in the book Get Mahoney, And I want you to get Mahoney. You can go to getmahoney.com, and it's available at all of your favorite booksellers. But a really fascinating piece of Hollywood history, and I'm really glad that you decided to write this book, because there are an awful lot of firsthand stories that I think people will thoroughly enjoy about people that we're very familiar with, but you give us an insider's view, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on the program today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Get Mahoney, folks. It's a great book, and I think you will love it.